Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Ascot Racecourse here on Tuesday. It is the 16th of June 2020. It's day one of Royal Ascot, and I'll preview some selections for all the races on today's program. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kit 5 for more selections for racecourses around the world, and also join me throughout the week for some more Ascot previews, and join me Saturday for my Belmont Stakes preview. It's an all-around good week of racing, good day of racing with day one of the Royal Meeting from Ascot. We have 7 races to look at. Let's get to it right now with the first race, which is the Buckingham Palace Handicap. It's a handicap going for a purse $46,500, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 24 horses entered to go 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs down the straightaway turf course here at Ascot. Since it's a very wide open race, I'm going to give you 2 horses that can win in no particular order. Most definitely you can do it each way or exact a forecast box on them, but most definitely use them in the place pot. The 2 horses I like here would be the number 6 horse, who is Silent Attack, and I also like the 19 horse Jack's Point. So 6-19, definitely use them exact forecast combinations, but most definitely also in the place pot. I think the pools will be good tomorrow. But the first horse we'll talk about is the 6 horse Silent Attack. The 7-year-old given by Dream Ahead. Tony Carroll trains. Tar Marquand gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 8th of February at Linkfield, 1 mile in the Class 2 handicap, and he finished second by a length there, and he sat back early on. He just couldn't get the good turn of foot. Well, he did, but he didn't get the strong turn of foot. Just wasn't his day to win off of a very great race before that at Linkfield and a handicap 1 mile January 11th, where he won by a length there. He sat with him early on. He quickened up easily. It was a small margin victory late, but he still had enough left in the tank. That was a very good race. And then at Chelmsford, 1 mile in the handicap back in December, he finished third by 3/4 length, and it looked like he just never quickened up, kind of laboring around from a tracking position. He hasn't been on the turf in nearly a year and a half. That came most recent turf race came in the UAE at Meydan, 1.25 miles, where he just never was getting the 1.25 miles. His races there in the UAE in the winter of 2019, he just wasn't really excelling. But back to 7 furlongs, his most recent form has been very good. I think he could really run a good race. 15-1, let's use him along with the 19 horse Jack's Point. This 4-year-old given by Slade Power. William Muir trains. Martin Dwyer gets them out. He's had 1 starter under his belt so far this season. That came on the 4th of June at Newmarket, 7 furlongs in a Class 3 handicap, and he won by a length there, and he did everything right. He stalked, he got the lead, he quickened up nicely at 18-1. That was a very good run, beating Cliffs of Capri. He was actually running the next one today, breaking from the wide post drop. But this horse ran well. 2 back though, he ran horribly in the Class 3 at Chelmsford, 7 furlongs November 28th. He finished 8th by 7.25 lengths. The winner won next start out. Silent Attack finished second that day. This horse just really couldn't get into it and just never really ran a terrific race. Even before then, a Class 3 handicap at Kempton, where he didn't have a great trip. He finished 13th by 13 lengths. Long stretch got to him, but I thought he's run his better races on turf. Also had a 7 furlong trip. His races last summer, decent 5th here in the Sugar Cup Sprint last year at Ascot over the 3/4 mile. Then before then, the Qatar Handicap at Goodwood over the 7 furlong ran a very good second place finish from a tracking position. And then before that, he ran at Chester and Newmarket last June. Those races weren't half bad, especially that Goodwood race in May. Back to turf here today, which I think is preferred surface at 20-1. Let's give him a shot. If I had to give you a top selection between these 2 horses, it would probably be this 19 horse Jack's Point at 20-1. I know I'm going to do a very small each way on him, but to recap my selection for the first from Ascot, it's the Buckingham Palace Handicap. We'll use as a selection here would be the 6 horse, who is Silent Attack. We'll also use the 19 horse Jack's Point, 6-19. We'll definitely use them both in the place pot and the forecast exacta combinations. Let's get to the second. The 150, the second race from Ascot, it is the Group 1 Queen Anne Stakes. It's a Group 1 race going for a purse of $332,500, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 16 horses going. The distance of ground is 1,600 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile on the Ascot turf course. 1,600 meters, 1 mile down the straightaway, and I show the diagram. Just gives me a second to look down my notes, just bear with me. Sorry, I'm stupid. I can't do 2 things at the same time. Plus, I get very stressed out doing these videos, so it gives me a second just to in that very small second, I can, like I said, relax. But and it just helps me concentrate. But the top selection here in the Queen Anne, it's always a good race. I'm going to go with the 3-horse Circus Maximus. We'll go 3-9-12 in the Tri-Cast Trifecta. 3-9-12 Tri-Cast Trifecta. Top selection, 3-horse Circus Maximus. This 4-year-old colt by Galileo. Aidan O'Brien trains. Ryan Moore gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 2nd November here in the United States at Santa Anita. 1 mile in the Grade 1 Breeze Cup mile. He finished 4th by 2 3/4 lengths, and he didn't have the best trips that day. And the mile, you definitely have to have a good trip, and he just didn't. He closed up a little bit late, but he could have improved a little bit more. But his races in Europe last year were very well-run races. Most recently in the Prix de Moulin de Longchamp at Longchamp, 1 mile on soft ground, September the 8th. He won by a nose. A little drifting that day, but he stalked. He got the lead, quickened up. That was a very impressive victory there, being some very tough group quality horses. Before that, they took him to the Juddmonte International at the extended 1.25 where he finished 7th by 4.5 lengths there, and he set the pace, but he kind of hit the wall. I think the 1.25 was just a little bit too long, and then before that in the Sussex Stakes at Goodwood over the mile, he finished 2nd by a half length behind Too Darn Hot, who ran terrifically. There was 2 races in France and at Goodwood for Too Darn Hot were probably some of his best races, if not especially that Goodwood race. But this horse, he just couldn't keep up with him, and then before that he turned the tables on Too Darn Hot in the St. James Palace here at Ascot on soft ground last year. He won by a neck, and that was on around the round mile, so it's not the straightaway mile, but around the round mile. He won by a neck. He had the jump on Too Darn Hot, and he went home very nicely. Very, very good run. Before that, they ran him in the Derby, where he just really couldn't keep up. He didn't break that well, and he just kind of, like I said, he's just not a 1.5 mile type horse. He has the speed to win here at 5-2. Let's take him. The old man Mustashari, I also think he'll run a good race. Did have him last year in the lock-ins where he won at 9.5-1, and that was a very fun day where the old man won by 2 3/4 lengths. He stalked, he quickened up nicely. That was a very good race. Even after that, they ran him here in the Queen Anne. He just never had a good trip, a little bumping action. He was never comfortable on the soft ground. After that in the Eclipse, a 1.25 wasn't to his liking, but then he came back to win the Challenge Stakes in Newmarket in the fall. Okay, against lesser quality horses, but he still ran well. He has the ability to win here. He loves the mile trip. Off the break, he can run. 10-1, definitely use him on your play spots. And the 12-horse Scardu for William Haggis and James Doyle, it hasn't been seen since the Celebration Mile at Goodwood last summer, but he was facing some very tough horses last year, and I also thought his St. James Palace last year here at Ascot wasn't half bad. Another horse coming here, it wouldn't surprise me from a 3 to 4-year-old campaign for this horse to improve. 10-1, definitely use him on the place pot. But to recap my selection for the second now from Ascot, the 150, it's Group 1 Queen Anne. Let's take the 3-horse Circus Maximus. We'll go 3-9-12 in the Tri-Cast Trifecta, and I would use all 3 of those in the place pot. Let's get to the third. The 225, the third race from Ascot, it is the Group 2 Ribblesdale Stakes. It's a Group 2 event going for a purse of $146,500, race for 3-year-old fillies here in this kind of Oaks trial now. We have a field of 11 horses going to the turf course, a distance of ground of 2,400 meters, or the distance of ground of 1.5 miles on the turf course. 2,400 meters, 1.5 miles here. And I think you need to be drawn well going 1.5 miles here at Ascot around the turns with a tight kind of bend. But the top selection, I'm going to go with the 12-horse horse drawn very well. The 12-horse West End Girl will go 12-5-8 in the Tri-Cast Trifecta. 12-5-8 Tri-Cast Trifecta. Top selection, 12-horse West End Girl. 3-year-old Felipe Golden Horn. Mark Johnston trains. Ocean Murphy gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 5th of June at Lingfield. Mile 7/16 in the Oaks trial, and he finished 3rd by 1/4 lengths there. And he was with them early on. Just couldn't quicken up to the good standards that day. But first off the break, longer trip for the first time. I thought he ran decently. Second off the break, longer trip, drawn very well. Bred to go the trip. I think this horse is sitting on a very good run. 2 back in the Group 1 Bet 365 Fillies Mile at Newmarket, 1 mile October 11th. She finished 9th by 27.25 lengths there, and she was with him early on, but then she kind of hit the wall. I think the soft ground got to her, and then before then in the Mayhill Stakes at Doncaster over the mile, finished 8th by 8.25 lengths there, and he was with him early on, and they were quite a good drive early on, but just couldn't keep the distance. And then before that, in the Sweet Solaria at Newmarket, 7/8 of a mile, August the 10th, the horse won by 1/4 lengths and basically did everything right, on the front and quicking up easily. But I like the horse at the longer trip, could slow it down on the front and relax a little bit, and I think that's going to go a long way with this horse. 21 Let's Use Her. Frankly, Darling, the 5 horse, I think is Gosden's and Notori's best chance, one of their best chances to win today. Trio filly by Frankel here. Most recently at Newcastle on the 1st of June, the horse won very easily by by 5 lengths at 90 cents a dollar. Was with them, quickened up easy. Nothing better about that run. Is drawn very well here today. Should definitely get the trip. Definitely a horse you want to keep an eye on also. But the thing that sucks about her, she's 7-5, so you're gonna have to find another place for the to find a price with her. But I think West End Girl is better value, and I think she has a lot of chance from the inside poster. And like I said, her Oaks trial wasn't half bad. So to recap my selection for the 3rd from Ascot's to Group 2 Ribblesdale, let's take the 12 horse West End Girl. We'll also give kudos to the 5 horse Frankly Darling. We'll go 12-5-8 in the TriCash trifecta. Let's get to the 4th race now. Race number 4, the 3 o'clock from Ascot. It is the Group 2 King Edward, the 7th Stakes. It's a Group 2 race going for a purse of $146,500. Races for 3-year-old colts and geldings. We have a field of 6 horses entered to go again the distance of ground of 2,400 meters with a 1.5 miles on the Ascot turf course. 2,400 meters, a 1.5 miles. The top selection here in the King Edward, I'm going to go with the number 2 horse Mogul. We'll go 261 in the TriCash trifecta. 261 TriCash trifecta. Top selection 2 horse Mogul. This 3-year-old colt by Galileo. Aidan O'Brien trains. Ryan Moore gets on this one for the Coolmore Group. Most recently, the horse ran in the Group 1 Futurity Trophy at Newcastle, 1 mile November the 10th, and he finished 4th by 3.25 lengths. Keep in mind, Kamiko when it came out of that race to win the Guineas last week at Newmarket or 2 weeks ago very easily. This horse just didn't break all that well. Sat back early, moved a little bit late. He was excelling late. Going to a 1.5 miles today, drawn very well. I think he's sitting on a lot better run. Before that, at Leopardstown, 14th of September, 1 mile in the Juvenile Stakes, he won by 1.25 lengths there, and he did everything right. Sat on the front end, quickened up easily. Good race, and then over the cur on good ground in the main race, breaking the main by 3.25 lengths. It took him 2 starts to break the main, but when he did at 60 cents a dollar, he had a good lead, quickened up, went away with it. Another horse drawn very well. Should definitely get the 1.5 miles. Should improve to the 3-year-old campaign. 4-5. I know it's not the best price, but I think he has a chance. Let's counteract the 4-5 with a bit of a price here that I think could come in, and definitely for your play spots. The 6 horse Sound of Cannons. 3-year-old colt here by Nathaniel. Brian Meehan trains one. PJ McDonald gets him out. I had this horse most recently at in the Derby trial at Linkfield over the 1.7/16, where he finished 4th by 10.25 lengths. He was with them early on. Really hung that day, which I just don't think he was 100% fresh. But coming here second off the break, 1.5 miles, I'm going to give him another shot. Before the Criterium de Saint Cloud, I thought he ran decently on the front end. He finished 4th by 6.25 lengths, just couldn't keep up late. But I've seen a lot worse races. And then before that, in the Royal Lodge and Newmarket over the mile, he finished 5th by 5 lengths. He was with him early on. He just couldn't keep up late. I wouldn't like to see the horse on the lead that day. I think he's a better tracking kind of horse, like he did before that Haydock over in Listed Stakes, where he finished 2nd by 1.25 lengths. He stalked. He had the lead for a little bit, but he just couldn't keep up late. But another horse, bred to go the 1.5 miles, definitely for the 1.5 miles, drawn very well, 20-1. Definitely use them in your play spots. But to recap my selection for the 4th, the 3 o'clock from Ascot's the King Edward, the Group 2 King Edward. Let's take the 2 horse Mogul. We'll also give kudos to the 6 horse Sounds of Cannons, and we'll go 261 in the TriCash trifecta. To race number 5, the 3:30. The 3:35, the 5th race from Ascot. It is the Group 1 Kingstans Stakes. It's a Group 1 race going for a purse of $332,500, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 11 horses going to the main track, the distance of ground of 1,000 meters, or 5 furlongs on the turf course. 1,000 meters, 5 furlongs here in the Group 1 Kingstand. The top selection, I'm going to try and beat the favorite here, Batash, and I'm going to try and beat him with the 2 horse Equilateral. I'm going to go 261 in the TriCash trifecta. 261 TriCash trifecta. Top selection 2 horse Equilateral. 5-year-old gelding by Equano. Charlie Hill trains. James Doyle gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Group 2 Maidon Sprint at Maidon. 5 furlongs February the 20th, and he finished 2nd by 3/4 length behind Waddy. He stalked early on. He quickened up just as good as Waddy. He just didn't have the good jump on him, but he still ran a very good race. Before then, the Dubai Dash made on 5 furlongs on January 23rd. He won by 2 lengths, and he beat Waddy that day. He sat back early, got the lead, and just held on to a very nice victory. That was his first start as gelding. Since they gelded his horse, he looked like he has a spring in his step, and he's really been doing well. Coming back to the UK first with the gelding, I think he could really run a good race. His most recent race in the UK have been hit or miss at times. It was a miss at the at Newbury back in September. 5 furlongs in the Group 3 Dubai International Airport World Trophy Stakes, where he finished 6 by 6 1/4 lengths there, and he was with him early on, but he just kind of hit the wall late. Maybe the fast ground got to him. But before that, Doncaster K against lesser quality horses in the Scarborough, he won by a head, and he stalked, he got the lead, and he held on with a high weight of 137 pounds. That was a good race. But then there was another dud in the Sapphire Stakes over at the Curragh, where he finished 6 by 6 1/4 lengths, never really getting into it. He ran this race last year, where he finished 7th behind Blue Points, and again, he just never was really comfortable that day. But before that, he placed in the house behind Maps Cross. But he started here at Ascot twice in the past, once last year and before that in 2018. But coming here of some decent runs since gelded, I'm gonna give him another shot. Your second likeliest winner here also, I think, is going to be the 8-horse Glass Slippers, hopefully by Dream Ahead. This horse had a very good season last year. Won the Prix de Longchamp at Longchamp over the 5 furlongs, very soft ground. Won by 3. That was a great race. Won the Petit Couvert at Longchamp over the 5 furlongs, and won the Alyssa Stakes at Deauville. Very nice last summer. Most recent race in the UK, was at York in the Summer Stakes, where the horse just couldn't keep up on the fast ground. But if there's a little bit of moisture in the ground today, I know they're expecting some thunderstorms midday. This is going to be midday right now for the carders. They said mid-card, actually. And if they see the little ground, rain to change the ground to good to soft, I think this horse goes up a lot more. It's making the Ascot debut, but off of the some of the other races at similar tracks, this horse should get the going here at the layout at Ascot very well. 5-1. Let's use her also. Like I said, I'm not using the 1-horse Batash. I think he's very beatable. His most recent race at Longchamp was horrible, and also this horse just does not excel here at Ascot. Go watch the replays of the last 2 Kingstans, where this horse placed behind Blue Point. He just kind of hangs, and he just never really concentrates to the run. Maybe that will change today, but he's a horse you could definitely get third. Definitely use him in a tri-cast. But to recap my selection for the 5th from Ascot, the 335, it's to Group 1 Kingstand. Let's take the 2-horse Equilateral. We'll also give kudos to the 8-horse Glass Slippers, and we'll go 2-8-1 in the tri-cast trifecta. Let's get to the 410. The 410, the 6th race from Ascot, it is the Group 2 Duke of Cambridge Stakes. It's a Group 2 race going for a purse of $133,000, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. Filly's Mares here. We have a field of 11 horses going to the turf course again, because there's only one course. Well, there is a jumps course, but they're going the distance of ground of 1,600 meters again, or the mile trip on the Ascot turf course. 1,600 meters, 1 mile here. And the top selection here, I'm going to go with the 10-horse Queen Power. I'll go 10-5-1 in the tri-cast trifecta. 10-5-1 tri-cast trifecta. Top selection, 10-horse Queen Power. Royal fib by Shamadal. Sir Michael Stout trains this one. Sylvester de Sousa gets the mounts. And before I go any further, Shamadal, his offspring, have we sadly lost him earlier this winter, but his offspring, the last 18 months or so, have been running lights out. Hopefully this horse could keep the momentum going. Most recently, the horse ran in the Group 2 Dahlia Stakes at Newmarket over the mile and a quarter, June the 6th. Finished second by 2 1/4 lengths there, and I just don't think the horse stayed the trip. Sat back early, moved a little bit late, but it wasn't anything spectacular. The winner just ran that better race for, I believe it was Gosden. Before that, at Windsor on the 24th of August, by the way, very off subject today, but today's the first Windsor fixture of the year. Can't wait for that. I might have to do some selections after this card at Windsor. There won't be a video for that, but maybe if you follow me on Twitter, there will be. But back to the regularly scheduled program. Before that, the horse ran at Windsor, a mile and a quarter in the Group 3 Winter Hill Stakes. The horse finished 4th by 5 1/4 lengths there, and just again, it looked like she was going to quicken up, but she just didn't. She kind of hung a little bit, didn't get the trip. And then here in the Ribblesdale last season, over the mile and a half, the horse finished 4th by 4 lengths. Starcatcher ran terrifically, and then won next start out and went on to have a great 2019 campaign. This horse was with them early on, but then just kind of flattened out. Didn't get the mile and a half. And then before that, in the Phillies trial at Newbury, a mile and a quarter last May, the horse went by a neck. Just held on to the victory. But I think the key with this horse will be getting the mile. Ran a very good novice race over this mile here last year, where the horse finished second by a nose. She was with him early on. She loved the going. She quickened up. She just got nosed out late. Nothing bad about that run. Drawn very well here today. Sylvester Sousa up. Sir Michael Stott, who knows how to get an Ascot winner at 6-1. Let's use this horse here as my best bet of the day. So to recap my selection for the 6, the 410 from Ascot, it is the Group 2 Duke of Cambridge. Let's take the 10 horse Queen Power as a top selection, and we'll go 10-5-1 in the TriCash trifecta. Let's get the nightcap on day 1 of the Royal Meeting from Ascot, race 7. The 440, the 7th race from Ascot, it is the Ascot Handicap's Class 2 handicap going for a purse $46,500, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a very large field of 20 horses going the distance of ground of 4,000 meters, or the distance of ground of 2.5 miles on the Ascot turf course. 4,000 meters, 2.5 miles, turf course. And just to think, here in America, the longest flat race of the year, I believe one of the longest is that Belmont Gold Cup over the 2-mile trip for stakes quality horses. Other than that, the longest races are usually meant for the bottom end claiming horses. So to see a big kind of stakes race, a handicap, but these are a lot better horses than you would see at staying trips here in America. But seeing these kind of races, and as an American, it just makes me very fun, and I like looking at these races. But by the way, as I look forward, this weekend is actually one of the better staying races here in America. Sunday, the historical San Juan Capistrano from Santa Anita, 1.75 miles, starting on the Hillside Turf Course, the top of the Hillside Turf Course, which is very rare these days with no Hillside Turf sprints. But join me for that also. But like I said, I like looking at these staying races. The top selection, I'm going to go with the number 9 horse here, who is Mankini. We'll go 9-4-1 in the TriCash trifecta. 9-4-1 TriCash trifecta. Top selection 9 horse Mankini. 6-year-old gelding by Nathaniel. Ian Williams trains. William Buick gets the mount. 15-1 here. Most recently, the horse ran the 8th of June at Haydock. 2 miles on soft ground in a Class 2 handicap. He finished 4th by 1/4 lengths. Moon King ran a terrific race and is running back this one today. Those horses from Haydock are running back this one today. But this horse was with him early on. Just never quick enough. Everybody around him quick enough, but he didn't weaken out of it, which I think is a good sign. I don't know if they were really trying. Why go for the measly $19,000 purse when you could go for the better purse today, which is about $46,000? So why go? Let's go for twice the purse in a week's time and don't kill the horse. I think today they're going to be trying, and I think today he's sitting on a very good run. 2 back at Chester on the 14th of September, mile 13/16 to the Class 3 handicap. Finished 3rd by 11 lengths. He was with him early on, but I think the weight got to him later, carrying 133 pounds. Just couldn't quicken up there. And then before then, the Sky Bet handicap at York over the 2 mile. He finished 11 by 4 3/4 lengths. He was with him early on, but he was just a little bit too wide, and I think that caught him. Last year he ran here in the Ascot Handicap as the favorite, but he finished 7 by 11 1/4 lengths there, and he just never really got a good trip from a stalking position. But I think this year he's coming to this race a lot better. If the ground's a little bit firmer, that should really do him well. And William Buick up today doesn't hurt either. Like I said, his most recent runs haven't been half bad. 15-1, we'll use him. The 4 horse here, Dubai 50. Adam Kirby's on this one for Karen McClintock, excuse me. The horse's most recent outing in a Class 2 conditions race at Newcastle on the 14th of December. She finished 4th by 4 lengths, and that was a very good quality horse race. Raymond Tusk is a decent horse. Came back from Australia to win that day. Funny Kid's a good horse from France. Ran a very good place. This horse just really couldn't get into it. Before then, Cesar, which at Newmarket, he just finished 9th by 14 lengths, and again, never really moved that day. But the races, ran here 2 years ago in this race and finished 2nd by a length behind Lagos to Vegas. And this horse, it looked like he was going to quicken up easily and win it, but Lagos to Vegas just got the jump on him. But this horse, like I said, didn't run half bad. He's a definite stay here. Off the break at 12-1. I'll give him a shot also. Definite horse to put in your place pot. But to recap my selection for the nightcap, the 440, 7th race from Ascot, the Ascot Handicap. Let's use as a top selection here the number 9 horse, Mankini. We'll also give kudos to the 4 horse, Dubai 50. And we'll go 9-4-1 in the TriCash trifecta. So go like 12. Please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 and join me throughout the week for some more Royal Ascot previews. Good luck, everyone.